Catamayo from JCT for Education for you. And today is Friday. And what is Friday? Something really excited that we all love and look forward. And today, before we start our live, I want to say happy birthday, Anna G. Happy birthday, my friend. And today we have a very special guest, Nick Avellan. Hola, Marilyn Benito, ¿cómo estás? We have a really good special friend, guest. You realize the colors here. We're in some theme here for the college in Boston. So I can tell you something like that. And we have Maria Cristina, Barranquilla, Colombia. Hola, Barranquilla. Tenemos a Gabriel. Hola, Gabriel. Saludos. And we're waiting for our guest to join us live from Boston. So let's give him some minutes or seconds to log in. Cristian Safi, El Salvador. Hola, Cristian. Un abrazo. JCT for Education, my alma mater. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. We're waiting here. So if you have questions for our guests, don't forget. And request to go live. Da-da-da-da. Here it is. It's waiting to connect. And Liam, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you, Wonka?
Good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
How is everything? Okay, connection. Come on, connection. How's your Wi-Fi? Liam?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, fingers crossed. We need technology.
I know.
Okay, I see the banner Boston University behind you.
Yes.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have Liam McCartney from Boston University. We're very honored. Friday always bring me the smile. It's the weekend, even though this is day 50 for me, being at home, social distance. What's your day like right now? Like, how many days you've been at home?
I have been at home. This is the end of the 7th week. So I started being home on the 16th of March. So it has been a long 7 weeks being home.
I know. Okay. So Liam, we call this section Conversations.
Of course.
So you have a fascinating story, and I want to share that with everyone here. So your family is from New York.
Yes.
And where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a small city called Newburgh. It's about an hour and 15 minutes north of New York City.
Okay.
Also where my dad grew up. It's where he spent his whole childhood. So him and I are graduates of the same public high school in Newburgh. And he met my mom when she was doing teaching in the Hudson Valley. She's originally from Queens.
Okay. I used to live in Queens, exactly in Flushing.
Oh, that's where my mom was born, in Flushing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I took the number 7 for a year from Manhattan to Flushing, so I know that area very well.
Oh, yeah.
So, Liam, when you were in high school, were you under an AP system or a different system?
With APs. So AP courses, yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to your high school year when were doing your college search, and you went to Delaware, University of Delaware. How? Why? Tell us. What was your college search like?
Yeah, so I started my college search in my junior year in 11th grade. And I started looking at schools that were somewhere between 3 to 4 hours away from home. For me, I knew I was looking at wanting to be far enough away that it was, I didn't want that temptation to go home every weekend, but close enough that if I did want to go home for the weekend, it would be feasible. And so I looked at schools in the Boston area. I looked at schools in New York. I looked at schools in Washington, D.C. And Delaware happened to be a school where my great uncle went, and he was the first person in my family to get a master's degree. So he got his master's degree in chemical engineering at the University of Delaware. He was a big fan. And I'll be honest, Wonka, I applied to the University of Delaware because it was an easy application to submit for me, and because it meant a lot to my dad. He was close with my great uncle, who by that time had passed away. And I said, you know what? It's easy. I'll just apply. And then after I got in, I went for the open, the open house for admitted students, and I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the students, and I decided to go there because it was going to be a place where I could get a fresh start. There weren't a lot of people from my high school who went there, so I could go
Yes.
kind of start over and be myself. And I really, really look back at that and think it was one of the best decisions that I kind of accidentally made for myself.
Absolutely. And then you were there at the university. And when did you start thinking that you will major in political science? Was it in high school, or was it when you landed at the college or university?
No, yeah, it was. I applied to every school I applied to out of high school. I applied undecided, so I wasn't sure what I wanted to study when I was in high school. I knew it would be something in the humanities and the social sciences. I knew I didn't want to go into biology or chemistry or anything like that. But I took some time, my first 3 semesters, really exploring. I took an introduction to political science class. I tried history. I tried other areas to really see what would be the best fit for me.
Okay. So now you wanted to be a little bit far away from home, but then you decided to go study abroad. And when you go study abroad, you decide to go to New Zealand.
Yes.
And you went to Victoria University in Wellington. I was just looking for the place this afternoon. What absolutely gorgeous area. And when you were doing your study abroad search, why was it New Zealand?
Yeah, so for me, I knew I wanted an experience where I was going to be directly in that other university. So, one of the things that, I know for some universities and some students, they're looking for that international experience, but with professors from their university. I wanted to take a leave of absence and roll directly at another university and really immerse myself into that area. And I also needed to do it in a place where I felt really comfortable, therefore, with the language of instruction. And for me at that time, and probably still today, I would really only feel comfortable personally with classes taught in English. So I knew it would have to be in a place around the world. And when I started thinking about where those programs were, New Zealand felt like a place that I didn't know if I would ever get to go for vacation. London was it's only a 5-hour flight from New York. I figured I could always visit London. I can visit Ireland. But New Zealand felt really, really far away. So I was between New Zealand and South Africa were my 2 picks, but I ended up going with New Zealand. And again, one of those things that a decision I am so happy that I went with.
Well, I just want to take a pause for a second. I just want to say hello to Simon Angel. He is a student at BU right now. He's a Colombian student. He just signed up. I see Jorge Delgado from Brandeis. I see Leti Capriles. She is a mom doing college search right now. So to all of you that just joined, we're here with Liam McCarthy from Boston University. Liam, so let's go back to those Kiwi days when you were there. I did some research about Kiwi and why the New Zealanders, they go by Kiwi. And first of all, their national bird is a Kiwi.
Yes.
But in 1906, they brought some seeds from China, and those were Kiwis. Mm-hmm. And Kiwi has been around for 700 years and so forth. But they adopted the Kiwi name in 1917 after the war. So it is fascinating, the story about what else did you learn when you were there besides the story that I just told you?
Yeah, so much. I really, one of the great parts about my time abroad is that I wasn't only taking classes the whole time, but I took time to explore the island, to visit different parts both islands, and really learn about the topography of New Zealand. I went on some great hikes, which local terminology they would call tramping, would be the verb that they would use. So I got to do that. I really enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about the Maori culture. And the Maori are the indigenous people to New Zealand.
Yes.
And learning a little bit, not just about their culture, but also how their culture interacts with the European culture, with UK colonization, and how that is so fundamentally different than Australia, and how the people there interact with Aboriginals, and other countries around the world. So I found that the kind of the differences between how countries work with indigenous people to be something that I got to learn a lot about.
Okay, so I was reading a little bit about you. You were part of organization, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia.
Yeah.
What is that? Please
Yeah.
explain that to everybody that's watching.
Yeah, so Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia is a fraternity. It's a music fraternity that is it's a social fraternity nationwide. I joined my sophomore year at the University of Delaware, and I was able to really think about that social fraternity aspect, but with a focus on music. So
Okay.
everything we did had to do with the creation of American music in the United States. And that was really exciting. Our community service was going out and performing to people from around the local area. So we
Yeah.
took trips to hospitals and would visit with people who were terminally ill or just in an intensive care unit. We went to nursing homes. We went to food banks and food shelters. And we just performed and got to see that smile on the face. I know that I know, Wonka, you share this with me, that hearing and being a part of live music brings joy to so many people.
Yes.
So being able to just do that and to perform, whether it was with instruments or with singing, was something that was really cool.
So now, for those of you that are watching, I wonder if when you were doing your admission interview, was N Cuervo in charge of that interview?
So
and you guys talked about music?
When I interviewed, one of the first people that I met at BU when I started being in Corvo, knowing that we could click on music was definitely one of those first things that we chatted about. She wasn't in my interview, but I think if she had been, this would have been a quick thing that we would have been able to connect about.
So for those of you watching, Ann Cuervo has been at BU. How many years now, Liam?
She likes to say about 20, but it's over 25 now, I think.
And she is an institution. She's done a terrific job for both domestic and international students. She's been a good mentor of yours, mentor of mine at BU, and Ann loves singing. So I guess that you guys are playing a lot of music in the admissions office.
Oh.
So you joined the troops, you joined the grounds in 2011 at Boston University. You're moving on the ranks. How many countries have you visited recruiting around the world with BU?
I have visited close to 50 countries for Boston University since 2013, which is when I joined the international team. So yeah, I spent 2 years on the domestic admissions team and then moved over in 2013 to international. And I think it's about 50 now that I've been to for BU.
Okay, you're still 49 to catch up. That's where I am, and I know that it's been a terrific experience as a former admission counselor, the best one. So, which regions of the world have yet not been visited by you?
I have only visited, so in the Middle East, I have only been to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. So I definitely still have some more exploring to do there. And I have not yet been to the continent of Africa. So that is still a place that I would like to go. We're not even thinking about BU, just where I'd like to go personally would be to the continent of Africa. So those are the two areas that I have yet to explore a little bit more.
Okay, and we have somebody here. Which is your favorite country to visit?
Oh, that is a really hard question. I really don't know that I can answer that totally without like spending a lot of time thinking about it. The place that I have visited most often is Budapest in Hungary. So that is a place that I feel very comfortable with, and I have my routine going in Hungary when I'm there for for a few days.
Okay, all right. You know, Hungarian is the most difficult language to learn in Europe.
I have not yet learned any part. Like this have I ever experienced or witnessed? Wonka, I think the same is probably true for you.
Yes.
And we are still working towards making sure that the fall for our students can be an on-campus situation with in-person instruction. But we know that that might not be something that is possible due to public health risks. And so we are continuing to monitor that situation. We're talking to public health advisors in the city of Boston, in the state of Massachusetts, to make sure that we're making those correct decisions. We are, right now, though, moving forward with orientation. So we're going to be having orientation programs throughout the summer to welcome students to that Boston University community in a deeper way. For our international students specifically, we have already shipped hundreds of I-20 immigration forms around the world so that they can start that process of applying for a student visa. We're hoping that that means that many students will be able to join us on campus in the fall for in-person instruction. If that needs to change and we move to a remote instruction or a hybrid type instruction, that's going to be something we communicate with incoming students as soon as we possibly can to make sure that they're prepared for what those next steps might be. We're also working specifically with international students regarding their visa applications. If it looks like there's a continuing issue with your consulate, with your embassy, we're working with students to defer their admission, to defer their enrollment to future terms. We want your transition to Boston University to be a smooth one. We want you to be part of this community. And so this is a challenging environment, but I'm really proud of what the university is doing to make this welcoming for everybody.
So we have Simon here, Colombian. He went to Rosé, and he has a question. Maybe you can forecast this tough question, but what will it be the environment for this fall for a returning student?
Yeah, one thing I'm almost certain of is that the instruction in the fall of 2020 will not be the same as the fall of 2019. And so even if we do come back, which we're hoping to do with in-person classes this fall, I think we'll be thinking about social distancing within class, to reducing, students sitting really close to one another, to be able to do that. So that if we are offering that in-campus instruction, it's publicly safe. It's going to allow students to really continue to learn in that way. And so we'll see what happens as students are joining and are working with possible remote learning, with possible remote instruction, or within campus or some kind of hybrid. It'll be different. I don't really know what that final answer is going to look like just yet. The only thing I'm sure of is it will not be exactly the same as it has been in the past.
Okay. It's been remarkable busy for everyone, and I can't even believe how busy it is. I get a lot of my updates through the BU LinkedIn account. I think is amazing. But if students and families, they want to get the latest information from BU, where should they go, Liam?
So if you're looking for specific information about the admissions process, I recommend following us on social media. On most platforms, we are at Apply to BU. And from Boston University itself, a great resource is our daily newsletter, which is called BU Today. I get this sent to my email every morning. I am able to look at and see what the updates are. And sometimes, and also, they're not just updates. It's also ways to see fun things happening on campus or with our student community. And I think it's a great way for that our students are able to see what each other are doing, right? It's an undergraduate community of 16,000. It's a graduate community of several thousand as well. And to really see all of the incredible research and activities happening, I think BU Today is a really great resource to check all that out.
What is your handle for BU if the students want to follow you guys on social media?
Yep, it would be at Apply to BU. So APPLYTOBU.
Okay, perfect. We have a question here from a junior. So I did not do particularly well on 9th and 10th grade, but my junior year I did extraordinarily well, and I will do well in my senior year. I was able to take a standardized test, but I now do. The virus is now at this optional school. Do you recommend to still submit my scores when I apply?
Sure. So let's take both of those questions. So first, I think that when we are looking at a student's high school transcript and we're looking at their record, we're asking a couple different questions. First, we're looking at the curriculum that a student's enrolled in. And again, Wonka, you asked a great question at the beginning of when we were talking about my own academic history. Were you at an AP school or some other type of curriculum? And that's a question we ask when we're reviewing students' transcripts as well. We want to understand a little bit about how students were able to challenge themselves within the curriculum offered to them. And then we're looking at your performance in those classes. We can't just look at an overall grade point average and overall GPA and know exactly what's happening with a student's academic background. And so, Nick, it is going to be a little bit about looking at your academic history, seeing, okay, this is a student who struggles a little bit in 9th and 10th grade. In junior year, they're doing really well. And then we'll, of course, be looking at those mid-year grades in 12th grade. How are you doing now? That is a really good way that you can show us that upward trend that you're continuing to do well in your individual classes.
Would you like to see like a extra essay explaining why the grades on 9th and 10th? The YGPA?
I always think it's a good idea to explain any part of your application that you think needs explaining, right?
Okay.
If we don't know the circumstances that you are undertaking, there's no way that we can take those into account. So it's always better to, I think, to provide us that information.
Okay. Now let's do some numbers. How many applications did you guys receive? How many admitted? And how many would you estimate will enroll?
Yeah, so we had just about 62,000 applications for admission this year. That's for our first year students.
Wow.
And we admitted about 19% of those students. That was the admit rate this year. And we hope to enroll a class that will be about 3,100 students for the fall 2020 semester.
Okay. How many of those are international? What percentage?
Yeah, about 24% of our enrolled students we expect will be international students. And that's consistent with the last few years.
Okay, good. We have another question here. When do you think the latest date to let the students population know that BU will go completely online will be?
That's another good question. I don't know the exact date. If one has been set, I don't know it. My estimation would be somewhere of early to mid-summer. I was talking with an admitted student earlier in April who asked, do you think there's a chance that I arrive in Boston and then I have to go back home? We're definitely not going to wait until September 1st to make that decision. We want to make sure that we're making this with enough time for our students to be prepared, for our faculty to be prepared, for our staff to be prepared. This has, a lot of implications for everyone at BU. And so we definitely want to make sure that's something we're taking into consideration.
Thank you so much. And I know, and for everybody that is watching, we've been talking to a lot of universities, a lot of high schools. It is a tough situation for everyone. Human safety comes first. So we're just waiting to see what the health authorities are saying. Each state will do differently. That state of Florida will do the state of Massachusetts and so forth. So I know, Leah, I find myself that I'm working even more hours than I used to. Do you find that the same for your case?
Yeah, I think so. We've definitely been, and maybe it's because for the last 5 years, I've really felt like April feels the same for me. Every April we release decisions end of March. I pack my bags, I head somewhere, I do some admitted student events, I come back, we have open house. I get into this very, steady routine. And this year that routine was broken, but we still kept the outreach. And so while I was continuing to do that work, I was also planning this new work that looked very different this year than it has in the past.
Okay. And how do you guys meet? You meet daily on Zoom, or how are your working hours?
Yeah, so I'm still trying to keep mostly to about an 8:30 or 9 to 5. So okay. That's really when I am doing most of that work. We have been using Microsoft Teams to connect internally at BU, and then externally with students, we've been mostly using Zoom Webinar. And so that's been a really exciting platform. We've used it a couple dozen times to connect with admitted students. We are currently every day for the last few weeks and continuing on through all of May. Every day we offer prospective students once a day the opportunity to chat with a member of the Board of Admissions like myself to ask questions, and twice a day to log in and chat with current BU students. It's been the numbers are not huge. They're not hundreds and hundreds of students, but I think that that's great in that we're really, when I hosted one a couple of weeks ago, we were able to answer all of the questions that were coming in, despite the fact that, you know, several dozen were present. It felt really powerful to connect, to answer all of those questions for juniors and sophomores and parents around the world who are thinking about applying to BU in the future.
Good. And now, question. We had a community leader here a couple of days ago, Fabio, and he mentioned he just met with Senator Rick Scott, with Marco Rubio, and they are introducing legislation. So, particularly for college students that are paying rent, and Boston is a huge city renting tons of apartments to students from Boston University, and they're caught up in the middle of renewing their leases. So they're trying to see if their legislation does like forgiveness so they can get out of the lease. Have you heard anything from your mayor, from your governor about this situation with apartments and rentals and leases?
Yeah, so I saw, obviously with today being the first of the month, that's a, you know, very typical deadline for people to pay their rent. And so I did see earlier this week that the mayor had announced that there are guidelines from the mayor's office that if people need assistance with rent, if assistance connected, or, you know, talking to landlords, that the mayor's office is working with there. I'll be honest, I didn't read too much into it because I don't myself live in Boston, but that is something that I know that the city officials are discussing.
Okay, and we have a student, Isa De Vengo. She's asking if the university is unable to open in person this fall, will they still consider deferring, meaning you guys, fall to the spring?
Yeah, so right now, anyone who is an admitted student to Boston University who's paid their enrollment deposit by today, you have until July 1st to let us know that you want to defer your admission from the fall semester either to the spring of 2021 or to the fall of 2021 if you did want to take that full year deferral. So that's something you can think about now. That is kind of separate and different from any, you know, chance of in-person or remote learning. One thing that I am very certain of is that there will be classes at Boston University this fall.
Yes.
Whether they are remote, hybrid, or in person, we are going to have instruction for both our incoming first-year students, our incoming transfer students, and all of our returning students. So if you think you want to defer now, that's something you can certainly explore. But if we decide on August 1st, you know, that would mean that we're going to move forward with instruction in that way. Okay,
see. Liam, we have some students, high school students, juniors and seniors, particularly for the juniors. Would you be offering summer programs, online summer programs?
So right now we have, they have made the announcement already about our summer programs. So for our college courses for BU students and everything, those courses are all going to be taught remotely this summer. And we have canceled all of our high school programs for our campus programs for high school students. I don't believe any of them have moved online. I could be wrong, and some of them might be. I know not all of them will be. I know we have a few great performing arts online summer programs or summer programs that I don't think are going to be moving online. So I think it's an unfortunate time that we're not going to offer those high school programs this year.
Okay, perfect. Now for international students that are watching, for English as a second language, remind us which tests do you receive?
Yes, so we to clear a student's English proficiency, we accept the TOEFL, including the at-home TOEFL exam that has come out, and we also accept the IELTS. And so those would be the that we would be able to clear a student's English proficiency with an exam.
Duolingo yet or not yet?
We accept Duolingo as a supplement, but not as its own exam.
Okay, perfect. Now, because we promised everyone that we will keep these lives under 30 minutes, and right now we're at minute 30. I always like to learn your take from this pandemic. What have you learned? Any thoughts about any words of wisdom for all of us?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to acknowledge that this is hard. I think that's a really good, important step. That if you are feeling like this is hard, you're not the only one. Everyone, most people that I have talked to find this challenging in one way or another. And then I think try to find ways, whatever it might be for you, that you can take this experience and grow from it. That you can take this experience and come out of it and really think, yeah, I learned something during that time. That doesn't mean you need to write a new like TV show or a movie. You don't need to, really write a whole book, but find some time to read. Find some time to learn a new skill or an activity, or pick something back up that maybe you haven't done in a while. And I think that those are things that can help us to learn during this busy time, during this crazy time, and to come out of it at the other side really feeling like we did something significant during it. But also just accept that it's challenging and it's difficult, but we will get through this. We're going to do well, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, to getting to see colleagues and friends from around the world once this is done.
So most important, how is your family? How's your husband? How is everybody at home?
Everyone is good. My husband and I are doing well. I'm very blessed to have support in my home from him, and I'm really excited that we're both working with university students, and so we're able to share lots of those different stories. And my extended family is also doing well. I have family in New York, in Austin, Texas, in Delaware. And so we're able to connect through Zoom. Actually, in 2 hours, I'll be connecting with almost all of my aunts and uncles. And my dad, he hosts like a happy hour on Fridays. And I have to say, that's been one of the nice things to come out of this. I don't get to see my family as much as I would want to. And so to be able to weekly pick up a phone or an iPad or log onto my computer and talk with them is a really cool experience that I don't get to have all the time. And I think that's one of the things I want to hold on to when this is done. Let's keep connecting through the platform, through other platforms. Let's also get back out and see one another.
Yeah.
But I think, to keep up these connections, I think is something that I hope we continue to do.
And you guys exercising at home?
Yes, exercising at home or going outside for runs with a mask, which is definitely a new challenge. I went for a great 5-mile run on Wednesday, and I'm
with a mask.
With a mask.
Good afternoon. This is Juan Catamayo from JCT for Education for you. And today is Friday. And what is Friday? Something really exciting that we all love and look forward. And today, before we